Okay, so the next thing people wanted to talk about was that kind of tricky completing the square problem. And the context was that this was kind of related to the equation for a sphere. So just to recap, we all know from the review sheet that the equation for a sphere is given by x minus a squared plus y minus b squared plus z minus c squared equal to r squared. That's the equation for a sphere with radius r. And center ABC. And in your web work, you would have been given something that looked kind of like x squared plus y squared plus z squared plus some number times x plus some number times y is equal to some number. And so I pulled one example here where we've got minus 10x plus 4y is equal to minus 4 right there. And the question kind of is, okay, what's the radius of this sphere? Where is it centered? And it doesn't quite look like that formula we have for a sphere, so it's harder to read that information. What we have to do is complete the square so it looks like this format. So I want to have x minus something squared plus y minus something squared plus z squared equal to some radius r squared. Like that. And the way that I pick what goes inside here is based on the numbers attached to x and y. So I've got minus 10x right there, and I need to pick a number in here where if I start to factor this x minus number squared, I'll show up with a minus 10x. That's always just going to be half the number I see right here. So if I do x minus 5, then if I imagine multiplying this out, I'm going to get x squared minus 10x plus 25. That gives me an extra plus 25 that didn't show up anywhere here. We'll deal with that later. For now, I've gotten my minus 10x that I wanted to see. I can do the same with y. I have a plus 4y right there. So if I add plus 2 right here, then if I factor that out, I've got y squared plus 4y plus 4. Taking care of that 4y, I have an extra number and I'll deal with that later. I've got my plus c squared. I need some number on the right-hand side here, but I'm not quite sure what's going to be good yet, so I'll leave my unknown radius right there. And then I'm going to look at this equation I have and try to compare it to what I had over here. So there was a number on the side there, but that didn't make any sense as a radius. It was negative. So I'm going to try to make my new equation look like that one again and try to puzzle out what that means r should be. So if I do x squared plus y squared plus z squared, I had those before. There's my x, there's my y, there's my z, like that. That's going to match the equation I started with. And then I've got my minus 10x and my plus 4y, right, from here and from here. And what's left over is this plus 25 and plus 4. Before, this is where my equation stopped. So I'll go ahead and move those to the other side. I said this was equal to r squared. I'm going to go ahead and subtract my 25 and subtract my 4. I just moved them to the other side. I went ahead and indicated everything with lines so you can kind of see where it came from and where it went. And now I know that this thing on the right-hand side, since the left-hand side matches the left of my original equation, the right should match the right of my original equation. So I should have, that's minus 4. Or, kind of ignoring everything up to this point, now I just have an equation. R squared minus 25 minus 4 should be equal minus 4, or R squared is minus 4 plus 25, that's just 25. So now I know what R squared is, and I could go back up here and just plug it in. R squared is 25, that means R is 5, so I'll go ahead and write this 5 squared. And that's my completed square equation for this sphere. Probably this was the toughest part for a lot of you, but I'm going to talk through reading off the center and radius, just so that we get good practice with it. So the radius is whatever's squared on the right-hand side, that's 5. And the center is going to be a point with x, y, and z coordinates based off of whatever's subtracted from x, y, and z inside these squared terms. So I have x minus 5. That means the x coordinate center is at 5. X plus 2 is the same as x minus minus 2. So my center is at minus 2. And then z squared is basically the same as having z minus 0 squared, like that. So the z coordinate of the center is just 0. And really this information is what you'd be asked for at the end of the problem.